Hello friends, welcome to channel Thinkpedia from Sneh Children's Hospital. So this is second video on how to getting started with the ventilator. So in the first video we discussed about uh, the air and oxygen compressed gases, the hardware, the circuit, the humidification. In this video we shall be discussing about how to start on the initial ventilator settings. Do have a look. So in this video we shall discuss the four things after you have passed your circuit and you have checked on the test lung that the ventilator is functioning well, humidifier is in place. Number one is the mode. Number two, we'll discuss about the adequate ventilation or the carbon dioxide removal, and third is oxygenation, and fourth would be alarm setting. So that we'll be discussing one by one. So coming first to the mode of the patient, you can use either pressure control or volume control mode. Less than 8 kg or the infants, you prefer to use a pressure control mode because the volume in the tube and all can be significant amount if you have calculated that. So what my advice is that use one mode frequently so that your staff is used to that. They know what to chart, what to when to inform the consultants. So if you keep on changing modes, they will not be, or you will have to train them accordingly about each and every modes. So my personal practice is that I go for pressure control mode most of the times. So this is first about the mode. Then comes when you are have to decide about the ventilation. So the adequate carbon dioxide level has to be there. So normal PCO2 in the blood is 40 millimeter of mercury. In situations where there is decreased compliance, like in ARDS, where even permissive hypercapnia, you might consider keeping your carbon dioxide level up to 50 to 60 as far as the pH is maintained. So to achieve whatever the optimum CO2 levels, there are certain settings which you need to do. So first and foremost is a respiratory rate. So if you are ventilating a normal lung, then you put the rate as physiological for that age. Suppose if you are ventilating a patient with decreased compliance or increased resistance, then the rate varies based on that conditions. So this is about the rate. So after we discussed about the rate, the second thing, if the patient is in volume controlled mode, then you put a tidal volume at the 6 to 8 ml per kg, which you can clinically judge by chest rise, your oxygen, if you have EtCO2 levels and CO2 levels, and of course the blood gas analysis. If the patient is on the pressure control mode, then you have to keep a delta P. So what is delta P? Is basically peak inspiratory pressure minus PWP, that is peak expiratory end pressure. So the difference of which drives the gas into the lungs, circuit and the lungs, and that gives rise to again adequate chest rise is to be seen. So you start between somewhere 10 to 20, between that you start with the pressure on the patient, and then see for, you cannot just move out of this site once immediately after putting a patient on the ventilator. You have to gauge many hemodynamic as well as respiratory parameters, and then fine tune your settings and check with the blood gas as and when needed, and then you can go away from the site. So this was the second thing. So one, as I said, rate. Second, about either volume control or pressure control mode, so that you have to adjust. And third point for ventilation is your IE ratio, that is inspiratory to expiratory ratio. So which normal physiological is 1:2. Again, based on the pathology, your levels will be adjusted. If you are ventilating a patient with increased airway resistance, then your IE ratio will be prolonged, where because CO2 removal is a problem. And in the situation like ARDS, where low compliance, where even the inverse ratio we might have to try for getting the oxygenation in place. So this was about the ventilation part. So first we discussed about the mode, then the ventilation. So in that, respiratory rate, PIP or tidal volume, and the fourth thing is IE ratio. Many ventilators have you can adjust just a rate and the your IE ratio. Based on that, the inspirated time will be seen. So either ways, two of the three parameters you will be adjusting, and the other one will be calculated and will be depicted on the monitor. So this was about the ventilation part. So this is now coming to the third part, which is the oxygenation part. So if the disease is of the parenchyma, or where oxygenation is an issue, so first is FiO2, your fractional oxygen concentration, so which you at times start with 100%, and then gradually you come down to the levels where your oxygenation is maintained. If you are ventilating a normal lungs, you may immediately start with 60% FiO2 and come down to the minimal required for that particular patient. So that is one part. Second part is PEEP, peak and expiratory pressure. So how you optimize PEEP is that you have to keep the PEEP based on the pathology, as well as you are not overinflating your lungs, which could be leading to decreased oxygenation, decreased CO2 removal. There can be a hemodynamic instability as well if you are keeping unnecessary high PEEP levels. So you're based on the parameters as I've discussed. I start with the PEEP of 5 to 6. If you are ventilating a patient of airway resistance where already auto PEEP is there, then you might consider keeping it PEEP very low. You have to check for the auto PEEP also. So these are the settings which you do, FiO2 and PWP for oxygenation. So friends, these was the settings which you initially consider keeping it. And then I'll be making you videos on disease specific ventilation strategies, where you can see if the patient is of asthma, then what strategies you have to apply. If the patient is of ARDS, if the patient is of for neurological condition, or if the patient is having cardiac failure. So where in these situations there are fine changes are required, that which we'll be discussing in the next videos. So now after doing this three, the last and the most important point is adjusting the alarms, which most of the time we tend to forget it. So you have to adjust the alarms customized for that particular patient. High pressure alarm is what you have to set. So usually you keep 7 to 8 more than the PIP, your high pressure alarm. Likewise, low pressure alarm you keep 7 to 8 less than your low pressure alarm. Keeping too wide alarms will decrease the sensitivity and you might end up missing many events, and keeping too narrow alarm limits would lead to unnecessary more alarming, and the staff may at times ignore your alarms. Also FiO2 and respiratory rate, and those measures alarms has to be set. A ventilator by default sets a ventilator alarms, so that you have to adjust once you put a patient on the ventilator. So friends, this was in brief about your initial settings. So you put a patient on them. So first you checked your oxygen level, you checked the circuit, the monitor, the humidification, all this in place. You checked on the test lung. Now you're putting a patient on the ventilator. Before that, first you select a mode. Once you select a mode, you adjust the settings. What settings? Respiratory rate, your pressure, PIP, or a tidal volume if the patient is on volume control mode. Then you also set the IE ratio. This thing for ventilation, and for oxygenation you adjust the FiO2 and the PWP. So friends, thank you for watching this video. If you are new, consider subscribing to channel Thinkpedia. Thank you very much.